All right, it is the final thing of today, but I went ahead and I put together all of these clips from a trial that's happening because no one's streaming the whole thing. There's not a day one and it's 7 hours or anything like that. So you have to bear with my clips, but we're doing the twin murder trial. There is a teenager boy. Let me see if I even looked up his name yet. I think it's Elliot. He was sleepwalking and claims that he killed his twin sister when he was sleepwalking and that he had no idea what was going on. So we're going to listen to opening statements. And then they have one person testify. I'm not sure who since I haven't watched it yet, but I do know the dad does testify. So we have a good amount to go off of, and I believe it also started today. So I think we're doing good. We don't have to hunt around 5 and 10 minute clips or anything like that. I piled them all in here, so let's go. Let me move myself to the corner.
Of 2021, Meghan Elliott goes to bed in her home where she lives with her two parents and her twin brother, Benjamin Elliott. They're both 17 at the time. Meghan lives on the side of the house with Benjamin in their own rooms, separated by a hallway. Meghan Elliott falls asleep on September 28th of 2021. Her last memory is being ripped out of her sleep, her brother standing over her, a knife plunged in her neck, and a pillow over her face. Like Meghan, we don't know what motivated Benjamin Elliott to stab his own twin sister in the neck. But what we do know is that he calls 911 at 4:41. Hello? Hello? My name is Benjamin Elliott. I just killed my sister. Hello? Dispatch. Do you need medical? What's happening? Is she awake? Is she breathing? I just killed my sister. I stabbed her with a knife. He's whispering. But to understand the context of that 911 call, you have to understand a couple things about sleepwalking. Get ready to write these down because you're going to want to look back at them when you hear testimony and evidence here in a bit. When a person sleepwalks, sleepwalking occurs in their third sleep cycle. There are 4 core principles about sleepwalking, and you will hear testimony about these 4 core principles. And when you hear the defendant's statement, you're going to want to refer to these 4 core principles. Number 1, you have no short-term memory if you're sleepwalking. The prefrontal cortex of your brain is turned off. You don't have memories from the moments leading up to sleepwalking. You don't have a memory of the episode itself. Number 2, you're not dreaming. You can't, because the prefrontal cortex in your brain is switched off. Number 3, provocation and proximity. Provocation and proximity. Violence in cases of sleepwalking is generally documented to occur when the individual who is sleepwalking is contacted by another person, maybe trying to wake them, restrained by another person to prevent them from going anywhere, and then the person sleepwalking lashes out in violence. And you'll see why that's important here in a moment. And your final principle, confusion upon arousal, disorientation, not knowing how you got somewhere, not knowing where you are sometimes. So let's go back to that 911 call, because we know that 911 call happens at 4:41 a.m. Officers arrive on scene 10 minutes later. The defendant is doing CPR, but patrol officers notice that the blood under Meghan Elliott's body is coagulating. She's pale. She's cold. Her lips are turning blue. The officers know that the defendant called 911 at 4:41. The only person that knows when the offense occurred is the defendant.
In order to understand what happened on September 29th, we need to go back a few days. You did not hear anything from the state's case about any context about this awful, awful set of circumstances. So let's go back. What you're going to hear is on Monday, Ben and Meghan were sick from school. They did things that they normally would do together, and with their parents, they were a tight-knit group. They played video games, they sat around the house, watched TV. Other than that, no school. They were off for a few days. The day of, so September 28th, what the evidence is going to show, and what you've already seen, a lot of this evidence, is at some point Ben and his dad were playing video games from around 6 to 11 p.m. And from that moment on, then Ben was trying to go to sleep. He was probably going to go to school the next day. Still a little bit up in the air. So he does what a lot of us do, what a lot of 17-year-olds do. Starts laying in bed, messing with his phone, looking at YouTube, looking at Reddit. All things you know he's already told the police about that are corroborated with the forensic evidence. He's not trying to cover up his behavior, no matter how hard they try. And so what the evidence is going to show, that at some point, it's now 4 o'clock. Ben is checking his phone. I've got to get up soon. He's checking his phone. I've got to get up soon. This is a common thing that I think at some point all of us have done. We better get to sleep. Sometime around 4:17, Ben finally falls asleep. You're going to hear testimony that Ben can fall asleep very quickly. You're going to see empirical evidence that Ben can fall asleep very quickly, and that he enters into a dreamlike state. Now, you're going to hear from different experts. So let's get kind of the elephant in the room out of the way. Okay? Parasomnia. Is this just some made-up baloney as a really creative defense? The answer is absolutely not. And the state, which you're going to see from the evidence, the state's going to agree to that. You heard no testimony during their case in chief about this, but there's going to be no question parasomnias are real, and they are frightening. So this is the International Classification of Sleep Disorders. You're going to hear a lot about that. You're going to hear that from the state's expert, Dr. Pressman. He's going to talk about this. Okay? There is a litany of research to support parasomnias. Their own expert, this is not going to be a question in this case. So let's make sure we're clear. Their own expert, the government's own expert, will tell you parasomnias can happen and they can be lethal. That people do violent things in their sleep. And this is not a ruse. This is not some defense to get Ben off of a tragic, tragic set of circumstances. So these will become familiar to you. You're going to hear testimony. Nobody's going to dispute these things. Okay, this is just the literature from the ICSD. Okay? What you will hear is on these disorders of arousals, these in-REM related disorders, they don't happen hours into your sleep. They happen relatively quickly. They happen in slow wave sleep. So the amount of time, the 4:17 a.m., let's just assume for argument's sake, Ben doesn't go to sleep till 4:18. Let's just assume that, and we're fine with that. Because that's plenty of time, according to the literature, according to the research, according to the data, for Ben to fall asleep and enter a parasomnia. And the reason that's possible, one, is it's scientifically possible, but two, it just makes sense. Ben's trying to go to sleep, he's got to get up soon, and you're going to hear how the further this goes on without sleep, it can exacerbate the circumstances. So, again, from the same manual, both state and defense will accept this as gospel, that during certain parasomnias, in extreme cases, victims have been stabbed with knives or hit with blunt objects. So why am I going over what this evidence is going to show? It's because there shouldn't be a doubt in your mind or skepticism. This is a real phenomenon because it's not us saying it, it's not me saying it. They're going to say it too. So the ultimate question is going to be, did it happen in this case? So, all right, this is another article you're going to see. This is Dr. Shank, one of the articles. This is from 2024. And this is going to be broken down, and you're going to see the merits of all the studies, of all the different cases where this type of incident has happened. Okay. Cases of homicide have been described since ancient history. Parasomnias are the most common sleep disorder responsible for violent sleep-related behaviors. This is all from the literature and from the different treatises that these experts will be talking to you about. Automatic behaviors. What can happen during a parasomnia? You will see, this is uncontroverted. This is not just Carrie's Mickey Mouse science or something I've created. Eating, having sex, driving, and aggression. You are not consciously aware during these events. No action is intentionally or knowingly made. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben was not intentionally and knowingly committing acts against his sister. While you're walking, you can manipulate items with your eyes wide open. Patients can ambulate through space. You are able to perform a wide range of complex and purposeful behaviors outside of bed, including murdering or attempted murder of another human being without fully waking up until it's too late. Again, this is not me saying this. This is what the literature is going to say. This is what their own experts are going to say. So the question is it possible that this was Ben? All right, what part of sleep and when? Shortly after the onset of sleep, in REM slow wave. It can be within minutes of falling asleep. Now you're going to hear there's a range. It's possible for different ranges. But the literature certainly accepts that within minutes of falling asleep. All right, how do you determine if it's an act of violence during a parasomnia? So, is it possible for someone to misuse a parasomnia and claim something as a defense when it's just a fabrication? Yes, it is. All right? My kids are pretty clever. They know the cases I work on. All right? When the dishes aren't done, Dad was a parasomnia. Right? Is there a history of cases where this is not appropriate? Absolutely there are. Miss Hart and I aren't going to try to convince you of something that we don't wholeheartedly believe is absolutely true. So how do you determine it? And this goes back to the articles and to the literature. There's a sleep diagnosis. Do they have a sleep disorder? It's a short duration. There's a lack of motive. This is not me saying this. This is what both experts are going to say. Proximity, and there's no attempt to cover it up. Does that sound familiar? And then there's amnesia dreamlike. All right, so let's just go through lack of motive. Because I want to focus on this for a second and what the evidence is going to show.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to argumentative.
What the evidence is going to show.
Let me finish. These are his opening statements. This is what the evidence, I suppose, is going to show, Mr. Rucker?
Yes.
Okay, it's overruled. You may be seated. You may continue, sir.
What the evidence is going to show, what you've already seen, what the evidence is going to show, there's lack of motive. Let's talk about, opening statements aren't evidence. Fine. Do you recall another opening statement? Did the evidence show, will the evidence show, has the evidence shown that on the 911 call, Ben said, hello? Hello? My name's Benjamin Elliott. I just killed my sister? No. It did not. You've heard that 911 call. I've listened to it 100 times. Every time it's just as painful. But he doesn't say that. Why were you told that? Because that sounds really bad. The evidence does not show that Ben was whispering or that he said, hello, hello, my name is Benjamin Elliott. It's not true. Why were you told that? The other evidence you have not been shown is who has been, who is Meghan. Why have you not been shown those things? The evidence is going to show it's relevant to lack of motive. Benjamin's on the 911 call, as you're going to see, he's saying things like, oh my God, I thought it was a dream. No, she's breathing, please, please. The operator even has to tell Benjamin what you're going to see is, Benjamin, take a deep breath for me. Please. And then at one point, she is breathing. I thought it was a dream. I stabbed her and then it wasn't. Now, we can Monday morning quarterback every single sentence that Benjamin Elliott uttered in this case. It's all pretty much the same thing. Not pretty much in he's whispering or he's saying, hello, hello, my name is Benjamin Elliott. No, if we're going to scrutinize Ben, we scrutinize everything that way. So these are all instances where Ben is screaming out, please, I don't want her to die. He has life-saving attempts at least 10 minutes. You're going to see that from the evidence. He's trying to do CPR and how exhausting that is. So that's Ben, that's Meghan. That is the same Benjamin Elliott that is sitting right here. He is not a psychopath. He is not a sociopath. He is not crazy. So, either he had some hidden motive and he was mad at his sister and he killed her in the middle of the night, which is not, it's not true. You're not going to find that anywhere. He loved his sister. The evidence is going to show Meghan was someone on the spectrum. Ben a little bit too, but Ben was the funny one. He was witty. Okay, you're going to hear from family and friends that say Ben's kind of a goofball. They're both kind of nerdy, but they're both sweet. When Ben walks with his sister and it's in the rain, you're going to hear from witnesses that say Ben's the kind of guy, he holds the umbrella for his twin sister. When they're at parties, when Meghan starts to recede because she's uncomfortable because there's too many people, that's part of her condition. She gets nervous, she retreats. You're going to hear Ben will stop what he's doing to go check on her, bring her back. That is who Ben Elliott is. So you're going to be left with a decision. The evidence is going to show that either Ben, he's one of two things. He's either a psychopath who kills for no reason, or he was having a parasomnia. And when you're looking at the evidence, keep in mind, it is not our burden to prove that he didn't intentionally knowingly commit this act. It's their burden. But Ms. Hart and I, we will take that challenge. Even though we don't legally have to, we will show you that Benjamin Elliott was having a parasomnia, that there's no chance, no motive, no reason for him to do this, that he suffers from this to this day. And at the end, we're going to ask that you find him not guilty.
Call your first witness.
Okay, so that was more than half of day one. I'm pulling up the second half and the last part of day one, which I said, don't hold me on it.
Mr. Elliott, could you please...
Okay. There's one person that testifies that I don't know who it is because I didn't look ahead, but I said their dad did too, and it is first their dad. So I'm going to scoot that back, and we can watch.
Mr. Elliott, could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the court reporter?
Okay, my name is Michael Elliott. It's Michael Elliott.
And Mr. Elliott, my name is Meghan Long, and I'm a prosecutor with the Harris County District Attorney's Office. And I want to start by saying I'm sorry for the loss of your daughter. And there is something that we are required to do, which is identify the individual who was killed. And so, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may please.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 75. This is a photo taken from an autopsy with ML2146007. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 75. If you could just take a look at State's Exhibit 75 and tell me if this is your daughter, Meghan Elliott.
Yeah, that's Megan.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I haven't seen another court do that or at least say all of that. This is Texas, and I'm surprised that they just did that.
Defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Elliott,
Yeah,
Megan was your daughter, is that right?
yes.
Prior to today, have you spoken to either one of the prosecutors on this case?
Prior to today, no.
On September 29th of 2021, were you ever asked for consent to allow the police to search your house?
I want to say, I don't believe we were asked specifically for consent, but we had an attorney who was representing us, who we had actually on the phone, and was on the way to the house and arrived several minutes later, who told the police for us that they weren't allowed to search the house.
When this incident occurred, how do you feel like the police treated you that day?
I thought, I'm trying to come up with a polite way to say it. I did not feel like it was that the job they did at the house, what I could see of it, was well done. I did not think it was well done.
Okay, and what makes you say it was not well done?
Objection would call for speculation.
I mean, that is his opinion, it's overruled.
Well, I guess, may we approach?
Mr. Elliott, I guess it's fair to say at the scene that you were frustrated with the police.
Yes,
So we know from the 911 call, and we know from the body cam that you went in Megan's room at some point. Is that right?
yes.
Did you know how badly she was injured?
When I initially went to go move into the room, I went with an idea to help Benjamin, who was rendering aid to Megan with the 911 caller on the phone. And as I moved in the room, I could see Megan's face. And she was gray and just, I thought that she was gone. And then I knew it was horrible, and I needed to go get my wife Kathy, because she's much better at, she's got, I don't know if she still has, but she had Red Cross certifications and was very experienced with life-saving stuff, and so I needed to get her in there. And I went in to get her in our bedroom on the other side of the house. I'm sorry, am I still answering your question, or?
You're good.
Okay.
Will you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
Slow down. I apologize. Just slow down for us, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'll ask you another question.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, you haven't seen the body-worn camera video, but you would agree with me that your wife was a more calmer person at the time than you were?
Yes, I was extremely frustrated with the police. I didn't know what was going on, and honestly, I was probably angry and not as reasonable as she was. Yes.
At some point, you and your wife ended up in that little office that's right next to the front door. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yeah, where we had the computers. Yes.
And you're trying to get information about your daughter.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell us anything about. They wouldn't even tell us whether Megan was still alive. They wouldn't tell us anything. The ambulance EMS people weren't there, and then they were talking about. We could hear them talking on the radio about where the EMS was, and I don't know. They wouldn't tell us anything that was going on. And then they had EMS people who came and I guess looked at Megan, and then went immediately outside of the house and were talking in front of the house. And in the computer room, we could hear what the EMS people were saying, and so we moved close. I'm sorry?
Objection to narrative.
Oh, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
You're
So,
fine.
if I may, you're gonna hear some objections every once in a while.
Okay.
It's just about a question. I'll handle those and just listen to our instructions.
Okay.
And the defense.
So, after you were in the office next to the front door,
Okay.
I think it's clear the police wanted you to move out of that room, is that right?
Yes, they moved us into the garage, if I recall correctly, and then finally out of the house entirely.
And I believe it's your wife who said, can we go to the car? Because you couldn't be in the garage,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Well, and this is after. I wish I could remember more clearly. This was after, at some point, we were able to get dressed, and the police also. I remember this while I was obviously upset. I did think that was odd that they let us get dressed in our bedrooms with the door closed without anyone there, and I don't know. But yeah, eventually we were outside in the car waiting in the driveway, and still didn't know anything about whether.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, tell me what your name is. Okay, tell me.
Really quick. Like I said, I had to literally slice everything together, so there might be just a little bit of a quick cutoff in some of these, but I grabbed all of them that were from today. And yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with you guys in the chat. It is ridiculous if any of that is an actual law in Texas, that they make them sit down day one of trial and look to say this is who my loved one is or isn't. I just can't believe that. I've never seen that happen anywhere in the country before. This is the 911 call.
Exactly what happened. I thought it was a dream. I took my wife and stabbed her, and it was a dream. Okay, we're getting out to you, okay? I'm sorry. I don't want okay, are you with her now? Yeah. How old is she? Okay, is she awake? No. Okay, I need you to look at her right now. Is she awake? Yes. She's and it's like 1 to 5 seconds. Okay. Thank you so much for that. We're on the way to you, okay? Stand on line with me. When did this happen? Just now. Okay. As soon as I realized what happened, I ran in my room and got my phone. Okay, is there any serious bleeding? Yes. I said to her neck, it's very bleeding. It's so much more. Is she completely alert? No, she's barely alive. Okay. Okay, listen, is there more No, I don't think so. Okay, listen, the paramedics are on the way. Stay on the line and I'll tell you exactly what to do next, okay? Okay, is the knife still in her neck or no? No. Okay. I didn't make sure. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you how to stop the bleeding and listen carefully and make sure that we do it right. I need you to lift your dry cloth or towel and tell me when you have it. Grab a towel? Yes, I need to grab a towel. Okay, place it right in the wound and press down firmly and don't lift up to look. Okay, I'm pressing down firmly. Okay, without lifting the towel, please tell me if the bleeding is under control. I don't know. It's all bad. I can't tell. Okay, just press the towel firmly on her neck where she's bleeding, okay, and don't lift up to look. Is the blood going through the towel or is it controlled? She's bleeding better. Okay. Okay, take the hand off. She's barely alive. No, she's completely alive. Okay, so she's not awake now. No. Okay. Alright, listen, are you right by her now? Yeah. Okay, listen carefully. I want you to lay her flat on her back and remove anything under her head. Okay. I'll put you on speaker. Okay. There's a lot of anything under her. Okay, now place your hand on her forehead and your other hand under her neck, then tilt her head back. Back? Yes. Open it up. Open up her airway as much as you can until they get there. Now look at her very carefully. Can you see her hearing breathing? Yes, she's breathing. Okay. Very, very slowly and right. Okay. Now we're going to do a quick breathing test on her. I want you to say now every single time she takes a breath in, starting immediately. Okay. Okay, is she breathing at all? Hello? Keep doing those compressions, okay? And do not stop. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Deputy Banks, we heard an address of in Katy, Texas with a zip code of 77449 given over the 911 call. Is that the address you were dispatched to?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's my brother? Yeah, we get a call from one of us that needs to CPR. Call
Deputy Parker, you're inside of this room. Who is this other deputy that we see in State's Exhibit number 5?
It's Deputy Adrian Banks.
And do you remain in that room with Deputy Banks until EMS arrives?
I do.
And, do you observe the defendant doing chest compressions until that point?
I do.
Why did you not intervene and take the defendant into custody immediately?
Given the facts and circumstances of what we knew at the time, what we could observe, he was doing a pretty good job at trying to revive the victim. We're there to preserve life, and I think that any interruption of that would have been counter to what we're supposed to be doing, preserving life. So we let him continue. If he was doing it wrong, we would have intervened.
So I'm going to move forward a little bit here. At some point, you do take the defendant into custody, right?
Yes, sir.
No, you need to hear
So you're leaving real quick, and then I go double numbers. Go this way, sir. I'll read I'll ask him about 17-year-old. What happened, sir? It was a dream, and then I Anything got yeah, I do. I do. If you want to walk with me real quick. Yeah, come on, guys. Go this way. Right here. I don't know. It was just a dream, and it wasn't. What's your name? I'm sorry? Benjamin, I'm Deputy Parker. You're going to be in my control custody right now. So, things play out, all right? I'll treat you with respect. You can stand to me, fair enough?
Pausing State's Exhibit number 5 at the 4 a.m. 59-minute 4-second mark. Deputy Parker, towards the end there, as you were walking the defendant out, you were trying to tell him you would treat him with respect and asked him if he would do the same to you.
Correct.
What was his response?
I believe it was, I don't deserve respect. I just killed my sister.
That almost got me. Anything that has to do with kids, it is very hard to not freak out. So that was day 1. Like I said, that was today, I believe. If any other random clips happen to be put out there, I'll put them in the beginning of tomorrow's for day 2. But I think I got them all. Just awful. If I was one of those parents, I would be in jail because they had them go and change and go outside, and I would have not left, and I would have had to be arrested because I would not have left my child if I was there. I don't know anything about this family, as most of us don't, but I will say when I was getting ready to make the picture for this video and I had to Google them, they looked like the siblings. They were twins. They looked really happy and always like hugging on each other and smiling. And I would like to believe that it wasn't done on purpose. So I'm going to be watching every single day, but it hurt me listening to that. The parents, him, I don't know if they have any other siblings. It's awful, awful. Let me read back through the chat because I definitely missed some when I was trying to listen. Yes, the audio was so bad, Dominique. That's what you get with the body cam audio. Oh, Dominique, you missed it too. In the beginning of this trial, the dad went on the stand day 1, and before they started asking him questions, testifying, they made him look at a picture of his dead daughter to say, do you know who this is? And you could just see he's fighting so hard not to break down. I've never seen that happen before. It's in Texas, But I've already started looking to see where does that say that you have to do that, because I've never seen that done. I've seen Texas trials. I've never done it. I think it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah, let me look how age-wise really quick. (17). Let me confirm that he was 17 at the time. Yes, he was 17 at the time in 2021. This is 4 years old. Wow. I wonder why it took 4 years to get to trial. Something to do some research on. I will be covering this every day. I'm really surprised that the bigger stations, channels, I'm surprised they're not covering this one. I know it's not necessarily nationwide news and doesn't have a large following, but I saw enough things on it today that I was like, I need to check into it. And then I made the commitment that we'll do it, we'll cover it. And so sorry, it's definitely going to be a hard, sad one. It's a lot when it's kids. Making sure I didn't miss anything else. Yeah, somebody said want to hug him. Yeah, I mean, if he is innocent, it's torture listening to that. This is going to be a very interesting trial. And I feel like it moved really fast with day one and the dad taking the stand right off the bat. So it will probably be done next week. Well, and that's something too. Like, is he on medication for anything? I'm not even talking like psych meds or anything, just in general. Sometimes certain things come together and make the perfect storm. The audio of the 911 call, the prosecutors were trying to say that he was whispering and like trying to hide it. I didn't get that feeling from the 911 call, but I am going to pull that audio and put it up on my page so that way people can hear it again and not be in the middle of a trial just to find it. But yeah, I didn't think he sounded like he was trying to cover up anything. It's crazy that they all got there and they just had him continue on doing compressions. They said he was doing a good enough job, which is fine, but also that's his sister. Like, maybe he should be with his parents. And I guess at the time too, like, he said to all of them that he stabbed her. Why wouldn't they do something? Like, what if he did do it on purpose and you're letting him stay in there and have control of her life? You know, it just, that was the wrong call. No matter what the reason was, that was the wrong call. Caitlin, his other sister's testimony, I saw that a girl took the stand or was going to. There's been too many short little clips of this entire trial that I think I need to do more time digging through and grabbing all the credible ones. Well, and so also in the beginning of this, the state was talking about the rules and what you can and can't remember for sleepwalking. They said you're not dreaming. When they said that, I'm like, wait a second. Because I have one time in my whole life, and I was a child, and all I know is that when I woke up, I had been trying to get ready to go to school, and I told my mom that. So, but they said during the third sleep cycle, whatever that is turned off so you're not dreaming. I don't know. Interesting, but I don't know. Oh, man. I wonder, since the dad testified, if the mom's going to as well. I'm blind back here. Well, Caitlin, I'm going to look into what you were talking about. If there's another sister that testified, I will find it. And it will be the first thing we watch, starting off with day 2 tomorrow. Thank you. You know what? That's probably why I didn't grab it, because I just assumed they were all in court, and so I thought it was wrong. Thank you. That's very helpful. I'll play that tomorrow, and anything else that I happen to come across that needs to be shown. I keep saying tomorrow, but it's Saturday tomorrow, so this will be back on Monday. And like I said, I imagine that this trial is going to be very quick. So probably will be over with Thursday or Friday for a jury to deliberate. All right, this was a long day, but a really good day. We got a lot of information. There's that Michigan mom that abandoned 3 of her kids, and thank God she's been arrested and the kids are out of that house and she's going to trial. We will cover that whenever that happens. And they gave her a $250 million bond, and the only way you can pay it is with cash. So she's not coming out. So I'm really happy. The judge did a great job making sure that she is not allowed to have contact with those children at all, because she would probably manipulate them and threaten them into testifying and saying certain things or not saying what they need to say. All interesting, pretty bad stuff, but at least we're going over it all. We're moving forward with it. All right. Thank you again for watching. I will be back on tomorrow, but not for trials. We have to wait a few days for that. But I will see you tomorrow.